Hey, what's going on? Jeff Ratcliffe here. And it's fantasy draft season. You know, everybody wants to know about the rookies. Well, we have you covered at Pro Football Focus. And right now I want to break down the rookie wide receivers that you need to know. And I should preface this, it is rare for rookie wide receivers to make an impact in year one for fantasy purposes. But there are some big names in this year's class, some exciting names, lots of upside here. And we're going to start with DJ Moore. Goes to the Carolina Panthers, but was very productive at the college level. And where he really made his bones this year was at the combine. Ran a 4.42, 39.5-inch vert, so he can jump out the gym. 11-foot broad jump as well. That means explosion, absolute explosion for him. Very strong after the catch at the college level. 39 forced missed tackles on 146 catches. So that means he's elusive, he's a yak guy, yards after catch guy. And he goes, of course, as the first wide receiver drafted to the Panthers, where he's going to get paired up with Cam Newton. Cam Newton now has some explosive weapons as opposed to those big body, almost basketball players that he had. I don't know if Moore makes much of an impact in year one. There are mouths to feed there, but he is an exciting player to keep an eye on. Next, let's go to Calvin Ridley. Probably the most polished player in this year's class. He's also a little bit older. I mean, consider this. He's only 6 months younger than Amari Cooper, who's heading now into his 4th year in the NFL. But polished, wasn't used a ton at the college level because, hey, Alabama, do they throw the ball? Not that much, right? But that doesn't really matter. I'm not worried about that. Goes to Atlanta. Julio Jones is the number 1. That's not changing. The question is, will Ridley be the number 2? Will he be out there in 2 wide sets? Because that's a big difference. If you're only out on the field in 3 wide sets as the 3rd receiver, you don't have as many opportunities to make plays and ultimately score fantasy points. So does Mohamed Sanu stay out in 2 wide? There's a good chance that happens. We should see some Ridley though, and he does stretch the field a little bit for this team. Matt Ryan, obviously a good thing for Calvin Ridley. Next up, this guy's probably my favorite guy in this class at the wide receiver position. That's Anthony Miller, a dynamo. You know, 5'11", but don't let that fool you. He plays a lot bigger than his size. At Memphis was really awesome. Last year, 6 touchdowns on contested catches. When you watch him play, you see elements of that sort of nasty, angry Steve Smith style of play at the wide receiver position. He's also capable of making some spectacular plays, kind of like Odell Beckham Jr. So those are some lofty comps, I know. But he goes to Chicago. He's in a situation where he could be the number 1, or number 2 that is, right off the bat. The number 1, of course, Allen Robinson. A new offense there in Chicago. Mitchell Trubisky hopefully taking a step forward in year 2. So Anthony Miller, maybe of any of these guys, if you say who's sort of the maybe not most obvious name to lead these rookies in year 1 in fantasy scoring, maybe the name is Anthony Miller. Next up, Courtland Sutton. You know, a lot of people were high on Courtland Sutton coming into the draft because he has something you can't teach. He has that size, 6'4", 218, very physical, and he can get downfield as well for his size, which is nice to have, especially when you're looking for that prototype number 1 receiver in the NFL. But the problem is, he got drafted by Denver. Now that's not a knock, Broncos fans. The problem ultimately is Demaryius Thomas is there. He's not going to pass up Demaryius Thomas in year 1. We know that. But he could ultimately replace Demaryius Thomas. So maybe not in 2018, but if you're a dynasty player, you want to be looking at Courtland Sutton for long-term value. After Sutton, let's go to James Washington. I loved watching him play at the college level. It seemed like every game he was making plays downfield. And you know, not a burner in a traditional sense, ran 4.5 at the combine, but he can make plays in pads, and that's all that ultimately matters. And you know, it's all about, just like real estate, location, location, location when it comes to fantasy sports. Well, he goes to Pittsburgh. No Martavis Bryant. Remember, he got traded. He's in Oakland now. So that opens up that number 3 job because Juju's solidified as the number 2. And of course, you know, some guy named Antonio Brown is there as the number 1. But James Washington could get on the field in 3 wide sets, make plays downfield. We know Big Ben has a big arm, and we know that offense tends to push the ball downfield, so that's certainly good for James Washington. 2 more key names to know at the wide receiver position here. Michael Gallup, Dallas Cowboys. Now Gallup was really, he was excellent at the college level. Colorado State, 3rd among draft eligible receivers with 3.47 yards per route run. If you've never heard that stat before, yards per route run, That's how efficient these guys are on a per route basis. It's one of the best stats of Pro Football Focus, and Gallup was really good in that metric last year. Also very strong after the catch. 20 forced missed tackles, so he can do it. He can get the ball in his hands and make plays. Now, he goes to Dallas. No Dez. Like, for the first time it seems like in forever, no Dez for the Cowboys. What about Gallup there? He could step in and make an impact in year one. I mean, you have Allen Hurns, Terrence Williams, Cole Beasley, so keep an eye on Michael Gallup there. And then finally, Christian Kirk, Arizona Cardinals. He's a slot receiver, let's be clear about that. He almost never played on the outside at the college level. But Larry Fitzgerald has played the slot over the last 3 years with Bruce Arians. The Bruce Arians offense has been pretty darn good at it too, 100+ catches in all those years. So does Kirk get on the field? The signs would point to yes. They're going to have to figure out a way to get this kid on the field. Very athletic, ran 4.47 at the combine, can make plays for you. But ultimately, we'll have to see how things shake out there. But he definitely should be monitored. Deeper names, if you want a couple deep names, keep an eye on DJ Chark with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Speedy, size, can get downfield. It's a crowded house there, though. Not a crowded house in Indianapolis. So with the Colts, Deion Kane could make a year one impact as a deeper name to know. How about Traquan Smith for the New Orleans Saints? We know on the fast track there in New Orleans, guys who can get downfield are an asset. And then finally, Antonio Callaway. If it wasn't for the off-field stuff, this guy would have been a day 2 pick, maybe even earlier. Very athletic, has the total package. Can he put it together? And then can he work his way through that Browns depth chart, which is actually pretty impressive, Cleveland Browns fans. Pretty impressive, but keep an eye on those guys. Of course, keep an eye on everything we're doing at Pro Football Focus. And if you think we missed any of these guys or you want to talk about these guys in the comments below, feel free. Subscribe to us for more fantasy videos and check out ProFootballFocus.com.